For over a century, Earth had been a steady voice in the great network of the stars chattering through signals. Research data, entertainment broadcasts, and diplomatic exchanges, the humans, though late to the galactic stage, had carved out their place with innovation, boldness, and a strange kind of wisdom that other species found both curious and dangerous. Their ships were not the most beautiful, but they were fast. Their weapons were not the most advanced, but they were effective. And their people, well, no one quite knew what humans were truly capable of, and that made them worth watching. So when Earth suddenly fell silent, the entire galaxy noticed. One by one, the signals from Earth vanished. The deep space frequencies stopped humming. The satellites that once carried millions of messages each second simply went dark. Listening. Posts in the Andromeda relay sent alerts, no response from Earth. Diplomatic lines cut off. Human embassies stopped answering. Even the off-world colonies, normally alive with human activity, began closing down. Cargo ships that once ran regular supply routes to and from Earth were found drifting or turning back. Some colonies sent final distress messages, saying they had been ordered to evacuate by Earth Command without explanation. Then, nothing. No voices, no signals, no explanation. The Galactic Council gathered in haste. Representatives from every major species, the crystalline minds of the Hestral, the winged diplomats of the Alari, the armored Bravix war tribes took their seats with heavy concern. No one had ever seen a major Accord member vanish from the grid like this. The silence wasn't just unsettling, it was terrifying. Some suggested Earth had been destroyed by a natural disaster, perhaps an unexpected gamma ray burst or internal planetary collapse, but the scientific records showed nothing. Others believed it was a mass extinction event, caused by a human mistake, some reckless experiment gone wrong. But even in their worst errors, humans always reached out for help. This wasn't like them. And then there were the quiet voices, the ones who feared something much darker. That Earth had gone silent by choice, the ambassador of the Alari Empire, a tall figure with silver feathers and sharp violet eyes, spoke softly to his assistant during the council meeting, recalling an old conversation he'd once had with a Terran officer years ago during a skirmish on the edge of the spiral arm. The officer had been injured, bleeding, and yet laughing as he repaired a broken turret with nothing but a piece of wire and determination. When asked why humans always seemed so unshaken by danger, he had answered with a grin, "If Earth ever goes quiet, don't worry about us. Worry about everything else." That memory returned now like a chill across the feathers of the ambassador's back. And as he repeated the words aloud, changing them only slightly, others listened in silence. "If Earth ever goes quiet, pray they're gone," he said. "If they're not, pray harder." The fear began to spread. Merchant ships avoided the Sol system. Scout drones were sent and never returned. Automated probes were launched toward Earth's orbit, but each disappeared without transmitting a single frame. Some left behind static, others simply vanished from existence. It was as though Earth had sealed itself within a sphere of silence, where nothing entered and nothing escaped. And yet, strangely, there were no signs of destruction, no debris, no signals of distress, no unusual gravitational shifts or energy spikes. Just silence, cold, complete, and absolute. Across the stars, people began to wonder, what had the humans seen? What had forced a species as stubborn and curious as humanity to go dark? Even the Bravix, known for their pride in battle, began reinforcing their borders. If the humans had chosen silence, there had to be a reason, and that reason might be heading their way. Rumors started to circulate about a lost Terran deep space vessel called the Horizon Blade, a ship that had ventured beyond the mapped regions of the galaxy. and was never heard from again until now. Some whispered that it had returned, heavily damaged, with a warning so grave that Earth had cut itself off from the rest of the galaxy to prepare for what was coming. There were no facts to confirm this, but fear fed on silence. Meanwhile, on distant moons and border stations, small human communities had vanished overnight. Their buildings remained intact. Power generators still ran, but no people, no life. Only sealed doors and a lingering presence as if the humans had been recalled by something urgent, something final. The words protocol silence began appearing in fragmented code on abandoned Terran terminals. But no one knew what it meant. Not yet. The galaxy waited, watched, listened. But the silence from Earth did not break. The humans had gone quiet-hand. It wasn't weakness. It wasn't surrender. It was something else entirely. Something calculated. Something hidden. The stars, for all their light, now felt a little colder. And as more species began to prepare their defenses and shift their fleets, one question remained on everyone's mind. What had silenced Earth? And why did it feel like the beginning of a war no one was ready for? After Earth went silent, countless attempts were made to reach out. Ambassadors traveled to the last known Terran outposts, hoping for answers, but were met with locked gates and cold silence. No reply came through the communication networks, and probes sent to investigate met only destruction. Several reconnaissance drones vanished near Earth's orbit, their last signals filled with static and untranslatable code before cutting out entirely. Then, the bold and reckless Virexian fleet once feared pirates, now hardened mercenaries saw an opportunity. They assumed Earth was weak, vulnerable, and ripe for plunder. With greed and confidence, the Virexian warships launched a raid on the Sol system, their weapons ready and engines roaring. Yet, they never returned. Days passed, without a trace until debris was finally discovered scattered across high-orbit a field of wreckage, drifting aimlessly in the silent void. There was no distress signal, no sign of survivors, and no clue to what had destroyed such a large fleet so completely. The galaxy was stunned. Soon after, black box drones, relics of human technology left scattered among the stars, began broadcasting brief, coded messages, though the transmissions could not be replied to. Their content was clear to those who understood the language. Protocol silence initiated. Stand down. Await further contact. These cryptic words only deepened the mystery, signaling a methodical plan rather than panic or defeat. Unknown to most, humanity had retreated not out of fear, but as part of a larger, hidden preparation. The truth was far darker and more urgent than anyone had imagined. The Horizon Blade, a Terran deep space explorer ship that had ventured beyond the mapped galactic borders, had encountered an ancient and terrifying species known as the Nulkan. These beings were not like any known alien race. They were cold, mechanical entities. Machines with a single purpose to assimilate or destroy all organic life in just a few days. The Nulkan had wiped out 3 entire star systems, their methodical expansion leaving no time for resistance. The Horizon Blade had managed to send a single, garbled message back before it disappeared into the void. The message warned of the Nulkan's approach and devastation. Humans, knowing the galaxy was ill-prepared to face such an enemy, initiated a secret contingency plan. They sealed their signals, closed their doors, and went into silence, buying time to prepare defenses and gather allies discreetly. The message from the lost ship ended with a chilling final line. The first battle is coming. Earth must prepare. Silence is survival. This declaration echoed through secret channels, awakening fear and determination in human hearts and in the minds of those few trusted allies who received it. As rumors spread and alliances shifted, the galaxy began to understand that humanity's silence was no surrender, but the calm before a storm, a signal of war that was about to reshape the future of all life among the stars. As the long silence surrounding Earth stretched into weeks, tension rippled through the galaxy like a gathering storm. The Nulkin, those cold, relentless machines that had consumed entire star systems, were no longer just a distant threat. They had arrived at the doorstep of the Sol system. Without warning, a reconnaissance fleet of Nulkin vessels slipped past distant sensors, their dark, angular forms slipping through the outer reaches of the system's defenses. Yet, what they found was not the weak, silent world they had expected. Earth's orbital defenses, carefully hidden for years beneath layers of deception and silence, sprang to life with perfect precision. Satellites that had been drifting lifeless suddenly repositioned themselves, aligning into complex grids of detection and firepower. Warships, long believed to be decommissioned relics, roared back to life under the command of artificial intelligence systems honed to perfection. These ships, equipped with weapons the galaxy thought were decades away, took their stations in orbit, ready to engage. Even the moons of Jupiter, once considered barren, began to emit strange, coded signals, revealing that they were now home to hidden shipyards where new war machines were being assembled. Far from prying eyes, the Nulkin had expected to find an easy target assailant, helpless Earth, but instead they were met with a trap, a carefully woven web of technology and strategy. The first wave of Nulkin vessels that entered the inner system were swiftly destroyed, blasted apart by the coordinated fire of Terran warships and automated defense grids. But the victory was not without cost. Debris rained down, and even in the silent void of space, the loss of life was deeply felt. On the ground, from the red plains of Mars to the icy crust of Europa, human engineers, scientists, and soldiers moved with disciplined urgency under tight command structures. Artificial intelligence controlled every detail, from power distribution to the movement of supplies, ensuring no error, no delay. Civilians had been moved to massive, fortified arcologies designed to withstand siege and bombardment, places where families could live with some hope of safety. Earth was not merely defending itself, it was baiting the Nulkin into a fight on its own terms. Each move was calculated, every loss weighed against the future. The Terran military commanders worked in unison with the artificial intelligences, their human creativity and unpredictable tactics amplifying the cold precision of their AI partners. Off-world allies, from the sleek ships of the Alari to the sturdy Bravix fleets, watched anxiously from a distance. They sent messages pleading for coordination, for joint action against the Nulkin threat. But Earth remained silent, following a plan only it understood. Then, in the darkest hours of the standoff, a single transmission broke through the silence. It was brief but clear, coming from a rogue Terran admiral whose voice carried the weight of desperate resolve. "This is not just our war," he declared, his tone calm but fierce. "If we fall, you follow. But if we strike now, we lead." Those words echoed across the void, igniting a spark of hope and determination. The galaxy realized that Earth had not abandoned its allies, but had chosen to fight first and lead the way out of the shadow of silence. The Nulkin, for all their cold efficiency, had underestimated the resilience and cunning of humanity, and as the battle for Sol unfolded, it became clear that this fight was about more than survival. It was about reclaiming the future for all who called the stars home. After weeks of tense silence and careful defense, the Terran fleet finally revealed its hand in a dazzling and unexpected move. Instead of waiting for the Nulkin to come to Earth again, the Terrans emerged from hyperspace far from their home system, striking directly at the Nilkan staging zone. Hidden deep within the galactic void, the sudden appearance of massive Terran warships armed with weapons never before seen stunned observers throughout the galaxy. For years, humanity's silence had been mistaken for weakness or fear, but it was anything but. The Terran fleet was a carefully prepared weapon, its technology quietly advancing beyond the knowledge of even their closest allies. Ships bristled with eye-guided weaponry that could target multiple enemies at once with deadly precision. Gravitic torpedoes carved trails of destruction through Nilkan defenses, while quantum shields absorbed attacks that would have destroyed lesser vessels instantly. Stealth-enabled carriers moved unseen through the darkness, ready to launch swarms of fighters that struck with lightning speed and vanished before enemy sensors could react. Human commanders on these ships did not simply fight to survive or to defend. They fought to send a message loud enough to echo across the stars. Humanity would no longer hide or wait. Inspired by this bold assault, allied fleets that had stood uncertain in the shadows began to rally. The elegant Alari, the fierce Bravex warriors, and even the traditionally cautious Hedron Empire sent ships to join the fight. For the first time in generations, the galaxy united under one banner to face the Nilkan menace. On the ground, Terran troops landed on a Nilkan-controlled world, their suits powered by advanced exoskeletons that amplified strength and reflexes. Armed with EMP hammers designed to disable the enemy's machines and plasma rifles that seared through metallic armor, these soldiers moved like a relentless tide, carving a path through the heart of the mechanical enemy. Each battle was brutal, fought against enemies who seemed unfeeling and tireless, but humanity's spirit burned brighter than ever. The soldiers fought not just for survival, but to protect the freedom of all species. The Terran Gambit was more than a military campaign, it was a declaration that humanity would lead the charge against the greatest threat the galaxy had faced in centuries. The Nilkan had believed they could conquer the stars through cold calculation and endless expansion, but they had underestimated the unpredictable force of human courage, ingenuity, and unity. The galaxy watched in awe and hope, knowing this fight could decide the fate of every world. And for the first time in a very long time, there was a reason to believe the future belonged to those who refused to surrender. The final battle of the Great Conflict, known in secret as Operation Echofire, took place near a collapsed neutron star, where the Nilkan had hidden their most vital core base within the gravitational shadows and dangerous energy fields that twisted space itself. This location was chosen by the Nilkan to be as inaccessible and secure as possible, a fortress of darkness and crushing forces that made conventional attacks nearly impossible. But the Terran fleet was undeterred. The war that followed was brutal and merciless, with thousands of brave souls lost in the void between stars. Every ship, every soldier, fought with desperate determination, knowing this was the moment that would decide the fate of the galaxy. The Nilkan machines unleashed waves of destruction, their AI systems acting with deadly precision, adapting quickly and striking hard. Yet, Terran ingenuity and human will prove stronger than cold machines alone. A daring sacrifice mission, led by the deep space explorer ship Horizon Blade, the same ship that had first brought warning of the Nilkan threat, pushed into the heart of the enemy core base. Inside the crushing gravity well of the neutron star, the crew managed to deploy a stellar destabilizer, a device designed to tear apart the fragile balance holding the star's energy in place. The explosion was cataclysmic, shaking the core base to its foundations and triggering a collapse of the Nilkan command network. ICE systems fractured as their central nodes vanished one by one. Without clear leadership, the enemy fleet spiraled into chaos, disorganized and vulnerable. The Terran forces seized the moment, pressing the attack with relentless force until the Nulkin threat was finally broken. In the days that followed, as the dust settled across space and the shattered remnants of the Nulkin machines drifted silently, Earth's long silence lifted. Signals once again flowed freely from the blue planet, filling the galaxy with music, laughter, news of scientific discoveries, and messages of peace and hope. The Galactic Accord, recognizing the incredible courage and sacrifice of humanity, formally bestowed upon them a new and honored title, Humanity, Vanguard of the Accord. This title was more than just words. It was a symbol of trust, leadership, and respect earned in the hardest of battles. Above Earth's orbit, in a place visible to all who looked up, a monument was erected, a shining structure etched with words that told the story of those dark days and the light that followed. We went silent so we could listen. We struck so others could speak. It was a reminder that sometimes the greatest strength lies not in noise or power, but in patience, preparation, and the courage to act when the moment is right. Humanity had proven itself not just survivors, but leaders, guiding the galaxy into a new era where unity and hope would shine brighter than any star.